Super Bowl 60, it is game week. Both teams arrived yesterday in Santa Clara/San Francisco. One team's going to practice, I think, at San Jose. The other in Palo Alto, which is the campus for the Stanford Cardinal. That is Seattle, and it is New England here, Joe. The opening line a week ago for the Super Bowl was a 4.5-point spread at most outlets. Today, it still sits at most outlets at 4.5. The total in this game, which opened up at 46.5, now sits at 45.5. Drake May last week, banged up shoulder, illness here. We'll get those official practice reports once again this week, Joe. But the spread line for you on the side of the total for Super Bowl 60 is what?
Well, I mean, this is the week, Donnie, where we're going to really start to see the volume of bets start to come in. Now, whether or not that will move the side one way or the other remains to be seen. We've seen and heard reports of a couple of, 6 and 7 figure bets coming in on one side or the other, but we haven't seen a ton of movement. 4.5, 5 is likely what we're going to get. There are some thoughts that the amount of money coming in this week could push this a little closer because it's clear that Seattle is the public side and will continue to be, but we haven't seen it. What we have seen is, interestingly enough, move to the under here, Donnie. The consistent nature of the betting to the under has driven this thing down to 45, 45.5. But we all know the public this week, nobody's betting an under in the Super Bowl, Donnie. The public is coming to bet the over. Is there any value in taking the over now? Well, it might be. If that's where you're leaning, I would bet it sooner rather than later, because by the time we get to kick, at 45, 45.5 could very well be 46.5, 47.
Yeah, I'm feeling the over in this game. We'll see how it plays out this week. We will analyze it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday right here on the SportsGrid Network, leading you right up till kickoff. Super Bowl 60 will take place this Sunday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff from Santa Clara, the home of the San Francisco 49ers Levi Stadium. That game between, yes, the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. But other news and notes around the NFL that you need to know includes the Vikings. They fired their general manager. Typically, this happens right after the season. This one was delayed. Kwesi Adolfo-Menso is out of a job, and you're paid on what you've done for your organization. 4 straight horrendous drafts, and then the decision to let Sam Darnold walk, who probably will win a Super Bowl, only to find out J.J. McCarthy, you drafted, might not be a franchise quarterback after all. Kwesi Adolfo-Menso out of a job in Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's not so much that he's out of the job. I think it's the timing, Donnie, that got everyone by surprise. I mean, this is not. It's very strange. They were holding meetings. He's very liked in the building. He had just had meetings with agents of the players. Like, the whole timing of this was very strange. But the reality is, I mean, he's been there long enough now where you have an idea of the track record. I mean, over 20 draft picks that he has oversaw, and only 3 or 4 of them, Donnie, are legitimate starters in the NFL. So you can't keep swinging and missing in the draft and think that everything is going to be okay. So it's not so much that he was fired, but it's just that they waited this long to fire him.
And then find out touring training camp, took 2 weeks off with the birth of his child here. Didn't go over well with the organization, and he finds himself on the outside looking in. Also, he was one of those general managers, very forward-thinking, where it wasn't really like a football background. It's more of an analytical background. Just didn't work out. And I did find it funny. I don't know if it's true or not, where he drafted just based on PFF and what their draft rankings were at this point. Yeah. He had 4 straight really bad drafts. You can't escape that. It's like an NFL coach. When you lose, you're going to get fired. Same thing as a general manager. You're hired to be fired if things aren't going the right direction, and they weren't going the right direction in Minnesota. How about the right direction for the NFL and ESPN? 10% equity changes hands here as the sale moves through and government regulators approve ESPN's billion-dollar blockbuster acquisition of top NFL media assets.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty quick approval, right? Stamp of approval, Donnie. These things usually take forever, but apparently not. Apparently they got this one through rather quickly here, so get ready. All of a sudden, your NFL coverage just got that much more, terrible, Donnie, if we're being honest here.
Well, Joe, if you want to leave the SportsGrid Network and you want to find a job that's going to pay you well, why not head out to Los Angeles and just be the offensive coordinator? Even though you're not going to call plays, Sean McVay will, you will be a head coach. Look at the 4 offensive coordinators during his tenure as head coach. Matt LaFleur, head coach. Kevin O'Connell, head coach. Liam Cohen, head coach. Mike LaFleur, head coach, Mir. Seems like a great job to get, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Seems to be a instant, like be as OC, and instantly in a couple of years you're going to be good to go. So, I mean, listen, that's a heck of a trade. Now, Belichick doesn't have that kind of record, so
Yeah.
my goodness, you got to love what is going on there. And listen, I like the job, long term, but as long as ownership gives them an opportunity to be able to get something done, they got to figure out what to do with Kyler Murray. Otherwise, he'll be back with LaFleur in a couple of years here, and that'll be the end of that.
LaFleur brothers are in the NFL as head coaches here. Arizona hired the other LaFleur, not the Green Bay head coach, his brother,
No.
who's now going to take over the reins of the Arizona Cardinals. That seems like a tough job because, as Joe pointed out at the start, we all know who is going to be your quarterback, and you're working for one of the worst ownership groups in the sport. Good luck to him.
I mean, again, you get fired, though. You can go to your brother. You can go to McVay again. You can just rotate because Arizona, I don't know what kind of expectations they have, but kudos to LaFleur for getting the job here. Brothers in the NFL as head coaches. Very interesting.
Yeah, and by the way, also more head coaches making their way around here. Clint Kubiak's going to be the head coach here we anticipate for the Raiders. Just can't make it official because he's still coaching. I don't know why that's still a thing, but the AFC West head coaches by age. Andy Reid, 67. Jim Harbaugh, 62. Sean Payton, 62. Is kind of interesting that he's that old. Doesn't feel he's that old. Clint Kubiak, 38 years old. How about that?
Yeah, you gotta love that. Clint Kubiak finally getting the reins here, and listen, I mean, at least he gets to start over, right? He's got some pieces on there, but he's going to get to oversee a draft where he's got the number one pick. And we're going to see how much he likes Mendoza, won't we?
The NFL head coaching landscape is complete now. Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Giants, Falcons, Dolphins, Titans, Browns, Cardinals, and Raiders. It feels like the entire league switched up on their head coaches. It's finally complete. The coaching carousel is there. Fill in some offensive and defensive coordinators, some general managers, and away we go into the official all season, which starts the minute Super Bowl 60 is over. Super Bowl 60 is here. Well, at least not yet. It is Sunday at 6:30 to start. All the pomp, circumstance, and pageantry surrounding it, which includes the commercials, which we all enjoy, and Bad Bunny, who's going to perform at halftime here. It's Seattle and it's New England. It's Sam Darnold versus Drake May. The home team is actually New England. The road team technically is Seattle. If we look at those lines that we've been looking at from last week till this week, still sitting at 4.5 as a side and favorite for the Seattle Seahawks in a total that comes in at 45.5. So, Joe, we'll start there at this point. I do think Seattle's the better team, still weighing my options on the side. 45.5 is a total. I do think this game does inch to the over as opposed to the under, but also the key ingredient is where are these lines going to move when all that big money comes in this week from both sharp sides and also from public sides? Look at Joe. Look at Joe. I mean, you asked on the biggest stage here for Joe. Look at him. He is frozen right now, just like this line has been for the past week and a half. 4.5s, 5.5s. Can we get the 6.5 by game time? I don't think that's going to happen. Hear me out on this. Sometimes we are going to overcompensate for what we want to think is going to take place. Like for me, I just wish the past couple weeks I knew Sam Darnold was 100% healthy because I'd have just been riding Seattle all the way through, hammered the 49ers, and then picked up the win and cover against the Los Angeles Rams. Now we're led to believe after 2 weeks from that previous injury and then 2 more weeks, including the bye week to the Super Bowl, he should be just fine, and I'm counting on that because I do think Seattle's the better defense and the better offense overall and should be able to win this football game, but it's not about winning the football game. It's about covering a spread at -4.5. But also understand this from a New England Patriots side and perspective. Drake May, last time we saw him in the snow in Denver, what actually happened? Yeah, goes down with a shoulder injury, was able to finish that football game. Then a little bit lackluster in practice this week, trying to take it easy. He says he'll be fine. Vrabel says he'll be fine. Then and also, you get a sickness at the end of the week, which causes him to miss some practice time as well. So sickness coming into Super Bowl week, which I know a little bit about that. Not that I played the Super Bowl, but man, I was sick a week and a half ago and still feeling the after effects of that. Does that linger around? And also, we're taking a look at the total in this football game, sitting now at 45.5. A lot of people will say, and maybe rightfully so, look at the Seattle Seahawks in this game. Very good offense, yes, but an elite defense. 2 weeks to prepare for your opponent. That should make some sense. Also understand this. Hey, Donnie, did you see what New England's been doing in the playoffs here? The offense doesn't look so good. You playing elite defense is number one, which Seattle is, but also number two, under circumstances like heavy rains where you can't actually hold the football, or how about a heavy snowstorm where you can't actually see the football, let alone make plays downfield. They won those football games. They wound up in the Super Bowl, and we'll see what makes sense. But for me, I look at both of these quarterbacks, so I'm trusting to be healthy. They should be able to move the football, and we're not asking for 55.5 points to go over. It's 45.5. Now, let's take a look at some things that I thoroughly enjoy. I've been to a couple Super Bowls in the past, and every time you go to the media center, they have all the logos and all the banners that are hanging there, and you can take a look at. The one thing I don't understand, even though I do, yes, Roman numerals, I should say, are pretty cool. But having said that, when you look at some of these logos on the screen, Super Bowl XXII, of course, we know that's 22. But as we start getting later, even in the Eagles Super Bowl years, like, LV, XLV1, XLV111, like, can we just have the numbers at this point right now? Like, this is Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl with a 6 and a 0 makes the most sense. But if you are looking at some of those iconic logos, you see where the NFL has shifted here. Earlier in it, spelling out the word Super Bowl, keeping it simple at this point. Then they really got into the Roman numerals where you see some of those Super Bowls and say, I don't actually know what year that was. Super Bowl XXX out there in Phoenix, Super Bowl XX, which is Super Bowl 20 there, and I believe Super Bowl 20. Was Super Bowl 20? I don't think so. What was the Bears and the Patriots at that one? That's one of the more memorable Super Bowls for me growing up. It was the first one that I watched from start to finish as the Chicago Bears, and William Refrigerator Perry absolutely crushed the New England Patriots. But you know what I do like about the NFL, to be honest? If we look at the recent years here, the incorporation of the actual Lombardi trophy as opposed to just the Roman numerals. Now, granted, they have them, but do you see how they incorporated them in? Looks like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, the last 16 Super Bowls, Joe. They've incorporated the Lombardi trophy into the logo, and I kind of appreciate that.
Listen, you got to love that they're nice enough to keep some tradition going on here, Donnie, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels like there's conspiracy theories all over the place when it comes to that logo each and every year. Kind of like The Simpsons, right? That they knew this was coming, and look at this, it's all a projection. Yeah, no, it's just a logo, and they have figured out how to keep it somewhat traditional over the years.
Now, let me ask you this question, Joe. We always know high-speed internet travels pretty quickly, but in the state of Florida, when it gets a little cooler, does it tend to freeze up like at that point right now? Like, what happened down there? Did you hit with a blast of cold air?
It's either that, Donnie, or we just got hit with a bomb because the level of the explosion just rocked the studio here. So not sure what's going on out there, but we're back. So that's all that matters here, Donnie.
Line's frozen, Joe's frozen, plays right into it here. And by the way, did you know, from a Kevin Gallagher post, I follow this guy, I love to see old school stuff. The coldest Super Bowl on record was Super Bowl 6 between the Cowboys and the Dolphins, 39 degrees in New Orleans. Wait a second, they got a dome. This is pre-dome here. This is Tulane Stadium, January 16th, 1972. We don't like cold weather Super Bowls, man. 39 at kickoff, and the Dolphins actually played well. That's pretty impressive.
What was the Ice Bowl, Donnie? Wasn't that Dallas
like 23?
When minus 23? I think that's when they realized maybe 30 degrees. That's a vacation here compared to what was going on with that. So yeah, domes it is 70 although it'll be interesting with this one, right? At Leroy 7, because you would think the temperature is going to be, everything's going to be swimming, but be careful here. Still don't know exactly what that weather is going to be like for Sunday.
And by the way, I've never played in temperatures that cold like the Ice Bowl back in there. Even the game, I think it was the AFC Championship game, San Diego and Cincinnati played in like conditions that you should not be out there, and it's not worth risking your life. If I was a player, like you, it's so important to go to the Super Bowl or win a championship. I don't even know, Joe, if I would even care about that midway through the game. Like I'd be so cold, like I'll be fine with a loss. I just want to get out of town. I just can't take it anymore at this point. But talking about, Joe, getting out of town, here's the Patriots send-off party. Let's take a look.
Come out, play! Listen, this is beyond my wildest dreams for the fans to have embraced us in this first year of this program the way that you have. I said all along, if our players played up to the standard that you guys expected and the effort in which they would play and their style of football, you would come out. And come out you did, so thank you.
Who would have thought that could have been Gerard Mayo up there giving that speech before being sent off to the Super Bowl, Joe, huh?
Yeah, well, that was never going to be Gerard Mayo. But, I mean, those poor fans, what have they done for 7 years, Donnie? I mean, my goodness, those poor folks. They had nobody to send off for 7 years. They must be going out of their mind. Yeah, but they're sending them off now, though, Donnie. So the more things change, the more they stay the same.
I'll tell you what's like, and again, and actually, like, 'cause when you hear 7 years, it's technically a long time for the Patriots, but it feels like the Patriots, like 2 years ago, were in the Super Bowl. We're so used to them making it. When you hear 7 years, it doesn't even compute. Like, the Patriots were in the Super Bowl 7 years because for a while it was every year, every other year, the Patriots were in it every single time, and now they're back and seeing as an underdog to see if they can complete that there. The quarterback battle is going to be interesting, Joe. We're talking about here the difference between Drake May, a little bit of an illness, a little bit of a shoulder injury, oblique injury for Sam Darnold. Both should be fine for Super Bowl Sunday. You take a look at Drake May, 220.5 as his passing prop, and also Darnold, 228.5 as his passing prop.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think health is an issue at all. I don't think it's going to be for Sam Darnold. I don't think it's going to be Drake May. I would not be betting thinking that they are hampered in any way, shape, or form. So I would just assume they are more than well enough to be able to run the ball, throw the ball. They're going to be just fine in this game.
We'll see some of those practice reports start to filter through today. NFL action from Santa Clara. Take place this weekend. Tom Vecchio, get some updates with him coming up next. Super Bowl week, it's game week here, and we'll be covering it on every single angle you can possibly get right here on the early line. SportsGrid Network, it's your boy Donnie right side along with Joe Ranieri. Now we welcome in Tom Vecchio, Super Bowl 60, 1 week away, Tommy, and then we end football season. How about that?
We finally made it. As the week has gone on, last week specifically added a few more props to my card for the Super Bowl. There's a lot to discuss. Not many long shots that I'm taking. I am laying some juice in some spots, but I'm ready to discuss it all.
Let's see if we can get some good weather, which is the anticipation, maybe a clean surface where nobody's slipping around, and we get a good football game. Sam Darnold and Drake May, let's start here first, Tom, because as we overanalyze like we will, you saw the injury to the injury to Drake May. We'll start here. That shoulder, we don't know how serious it is. Illness at the end of the week. He's probably going to be limited here. We'll get those full practice reports this week. And then also Sam Darnold, the oblique injury, which he had again wrapped up in the NFC Championship game. But if that means he's injured and he threw for 350 close yards and 3 touchdowns here, I don't know how injured he's going to be for the Super Bowl, whether he's hurt or not. Give me a breakdown of the quarterbacks and the anticipation for this game coming up this weekend.
As of now, I'm not worried about either of them. Seeing Drake May limited a week before the game doesn't concern me. I assume every player is dealing with something at this point. Drake May's limited on Thursday or Friday of this week. That's a very different story compared to being a week out. I know a lot of people are just waiting for the other shoe to drop for Sam Darnold, so to speak. We're like, he keeps putting up these good performances, like, oh, but it's Sam Darnold. Oh, but it's Sam Darnold. But they're the number seed. Oh, he's gonna throw more interceptions. Like, well, it hasn't happened yet, and maybe he's gotten past that. I'm not willing to back Seattle at -4.5. I think they win the game, but I'm not going to lay it. I think Drake May just has to be the best he's been in literally over a month. He hasn't been great in the playoffs. Last week was terrible. I know he threw some touchdowns against the Texans. That's because it was really just the matter of the game, of how it unfolded. But 5 sacks a game is just not acceptable, and will lose them the game if that happens again.
So who's more likely to throw the INT here, or do you just bet them both?
So I think Drake May's at a higher probability to throw an interception. The odds suggest that he's -138 to Sam Darnold at -128. But I actually bet both teams to record an interception at +200. If I had to pick one, it would be Drake May. I think he'll be dropping back more. He'll have to throw the ball, just giving at a higher risk to throw. So I think you can play that straight up at -138, but I also like both teams to record an interception at +200.
How are we feel about the total in this game, Tom? 45.5 as it sits right now. We'll see where it gets up to game time. I'm more trending towards the over in this game. 2 weeks to prepare, get a little bit healthy at the quarterback spot. Also, New England not playing in snowstorms or rainstorms here. How are we feeling about the total in this one?
This is a little bit of a cop-out, but if it was 44, I would love the over. 44 and a half, I would be my spot. And frankly, I'm expecting it to move up. I'm expecting as the week goes on to see more and more public money. So if you like the over, I would bet it now. If you like the under, I actually think that there's, obviously a time to wait, and then you wait for Friday, Saturday when that public money gets there, and then you bet the under. I think we're looking at a 24-20, 24-21, maybe 27-20 type of final. I think Seattle wins. If they cover, it's not going to be by much, and it may just be a late field goal pushing them from 24 to 27.
Yeah.
Both these teams have two offensive coordinators that have had a ton of success. Do we know the early part of the game is the scripted portion here? First quarter over, total points here? Are we expecting both offenses to start the game on fire, or what are we thinking?
I would lean towards under if I had to choose. I think these teams are going to play it super close to the vest. If they get to midfield, I don't think that they'll be going forward on fourth down, at least at the early portion of the game. I think if they get in field goal range, I think both teams will lean towards taking a field goal rather than going forward on fourth down. So to me, that would lean under. And frankly, I think the game will start punt. I think the teams pick up a first down and then they punt. It's not going to be a high flying. I think things will pick up as the game goes on, but it's going to be a slow start.
Kalshi, Polymarket. We love this spot here on the early line, Joe. Did you know that there is a show that has the initials PME that airs on the network that has Joe Ranieri and Donnie Wright outside of the early line? Did you know that, Joe Ranieri? Following along?
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Yep, never heard of it.
Prediction.
But
Markets
should
edge.
be good.
Yeah, you're very good on that show. Like the advanced results coming in are very positive to the duo that hosts that show, which now each and every day when you watch the early line, you understand. We get you into Kalshi and Polymarket with the information they need to know, which includes Super Bowl 60. We're not going to ask you today who's going to throw the first touchdown pass or who's going to go over their 220.5 yards prop. I'm going to ask you this today, Joe. Which brands will advertise during the big game in 2026? And it seems like, Joe, the cat's out of the bag on a lot of these. Hims and Hers, 99% chance. Pepsi, 99% chance. Liquid Death, 98% chance. OpenAI, 97% chance here, Joe. It seems like we already know these guys filmed some commercials and sent them in. Are you just taking no contracts left and right to cash in, or just taking the yes and saying, I'll take a couple cups of coffee?
And that's basically it. That's the free money, right? Aspect of it in the prediction markets where, listen, we already know what the answer is, but okay, I don't have to, listen, you don't have to tie it up very long either, Donnie, right? You'll have it all by Monday. Invest in it now and you'll have the return on Monday, so you don't have to tie it up for very long.
Yeah, take a look at some of these markets, too. I see DoorDash trading at 18%. You know, like they get into it, but I keep seeing Uber Eats commercials on TV, like they're doing something for the Super Bowl, but I can't find Uber Eats on this list right now. How about Liquid Death, Joe, trading at 98 cents? So you would get $3 back on your investment there. A little Liquid Death. I assume that's like a Monster-type energy drink, no?
Nope. It's pure water, Donnie. You wouldn't know it, but it's water. Yes, it's just water. I mean, you know what it does? It tastes like water. Only it's at like $5 a can. So, yes, there's a lot of Liquid Death being sold in order to afford a 30-second commercial, Donnie, for, I don't know what the going rate is. What it was, $3 million or $4 million for 30 seconds? Like, a lot of Liquid Death there.
And you know what? In the past, Joe, when you watch Super Bowl Sunday, you didn't see the commercials before the game. Now it feels like half the commercials you saw the week before the game at this point right now. Whatever happened to, like the anticipation of, that's hilarious, that Doritos commercial. Now, wait a second, I saw that Doritos commercial last week and they're running it during the Super Bowl. Ingenuity is what we want, people. And also this weekend, you know what else we're going to find out, Joe? Who's going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2026? Drew Brees, 97%. Larry Fitzgerald, 97%. Kuechly, Vinatieri, Jason Witten. And by the way, like a lot of people say, like kickers and punters shouldn't be in there. Vinatieri absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely does. The question is, are you going to lay down the 62 cents for the yes here to get paid back 162? That's the question, Joe.
Yeah, he absolutely deserves, but we need to know, does he deserve it this go around? I mean, listen, Larry Fitzgerald belongs in the Hall of Fame. Drew
Yeah, he
Brees
does.
belongs at
He
this.
does.
Every one of those guys belongs here, Donnie. But how many spaces do they have available here? Or can they all get in and maybe yes on all of them?
Giants fans, you want to make a free $3 this weekend? How about a contract on 98 cents as a no on Eli Manning? The guy's a 500 quarterback. No shot should this guy be sniffing anywhere around the elite talent. Like, you know what happens, Joe, where they say like those busts inside come alive at night when you turn the lights off? They would beat up Eli Manning if he was in the Hall of Fame because how bad his record is.
Yeah, but he's got 2 rings. He doesn't have one.
come on,
you don't
man.
luck into 1. You got 2, which seems to be the bar, right? And you beat, of all people, Tom Brady twice. So Eli can do no wrong in my book as a Jets fan because you did what many other guys could not do. You took down Tom Brady twice.
I gotta tell you though, when Eli Manning retired, I shedded a tear because the times we beat him like a drum for felt like 20 straight years. And by the way, he still sees Asante Samuel in his nightmares at night. Asante, my guy, shout out for the Eagles. I think he picked him off like 16 times at this point.